Hello Year 7. In today's lesson we're going to be learning about angles in quadrilaterals. So there's the title to put into your exercise book. Now I guess the first thing we need to do is make sure that we all understand what a quadrilateral is. So before I talk to you about that, let's talk about the shape we've been learning about before now, which is triangles. I always think of the link between the word triangle and tricycle. Tricycles have 3 wheels and triangles have 3 sides. Well, when I think about quadrilaterals, I think about quad bikes. Quad bikes have 4 wheels and quadrilaterals have 4 sides. So that's what we're talking about today, the angles in 4-sided shapes. Now for our starter activity, you're going to need to open one of these 2 files. Attached to the Show My Homework post today, you'll find one called 30, 60, 90 triangles to print, and that's the one that you're going to use if you have a printer. And if you don't have a printer and you're working on screen, you're going to need to be on a computer to open and work with the Word document 30, 60, 90 triangles for screen. Now, I think it's a good idea if you watch the next part of the video first to see what the task is, and then you can stop and either print out the first worksheet or open the second worksheet to do the task. If you go for the printing option, your worksheet will look like this. It says, on this worksheet you will see lots of copies of a triangle I like to call a 30, 60, 90 triangle. I call it that because its 3 angles are 30, 60 and 90 degrees. Here is one with the angles labelled, and here are some for you to cut out after you print this page. If you go for working on screen, this is what you will see. So this worksheet looks really similar. It says at the top, on this worksheet you will see 4 copies of a triangle I like to call a 30, 60, 90 triangle. I call it that because its 3 angles are 30, 60 and 90. Here is one with the angles labelled, so that bit's just like before, except that I've only made 4 copies for you and I've coloured them in so that they stand out on the page while you're moving them around. Now we'll come back to this screen in a second, but I'm just going to go to the page that gives you the instructions for what to do now. So whether you're working on a printed paper and cutting out the triangles or working on the screen, this is the task. Choose 2, 3 or 4 of the triangles and arrange them without overlapping them into a quadrilateral. So if you chose 2 of the triangles and arranged them like this picture, that would be wrong. For a start, they're overlapped. And secondly, they haven't made a 4-sided shape, so that's definitely not good. This one is also wrong, because although 2 triangles have been joined together without overlapping, which is good, the overall shape formed is a triangle and not a quadrilateral. You need to join your triangles together to make a quadrilateral. So now let's have a look at one that would be correct. Here's the one that I'm going to use as the example for today's lesson. So when you make your new quadrilateral shape, please don't make this particular one. So if you're working on the printed version, then you're just going to cut out your triangles. You'll have lots to work with. You're going to choose 2, 3 or 4 and you're going to arrange them to form a quadrilateral. For those of you working on screen, you can move these 4 triangles around using your mouse, and you can join them together in different ways. For example, this is me joining 2 triangles together to form a quadrilateral, like the one I had done on the screen before. But remember, you can use up to 4 triangles to form your quadrilateral, and you can use the rotation option to spin your shape around. And if you want to flip a triangle back to front, you can go to Format and then where it says Rotate, if you click there, you have options to do a vertical flip or a horizontal flip. So in that way, you can do everything the same as somebody who's working with paper cutout triangles. Once you are happy with your shape, you're going to write down the heading starter, and then you're going to glue it down underneath that heading, or if you were working on screen, you're going to copy what you can see on the screen into your book. Once you've done that, you're going to take a felt tip pen and a ruler to create a clear outline around your quadrilateral. And that's going to mean that we're not focusing on the two triangles, but we're focusing instead on the quadrilateral that we've formed. The next job is to copy and complete these sentences underneath your shape. So I'm going to show you how I would do that for my one, and then you'll do it for the particular shape that you made. So for angle 1, I can choose one of the 4 angles inside the quadrilateral. So let's suppose I choose this one. On the worksheet, we were told how big the angles inside the triangle were. So this one was actually 60 degrees, we were told that. And that means I'll straight away be able to write in my book, angle 1, 60 degrees. Angle 2, let's suppose I'm trying to work out this angle here. Now this amount of turning is happening around this point, and it's made out of 2 parts. It's made out of a right angle part from this triangle and a small angle from this triangle. And if you remember on the worksheet, we were told that the smaller angle is a 30 degrees angle, and we know that right angles are 90 degrees. So by adding those 2 together, I can work out that the angle 2 on my diagram is 120 degrees, and I can write that for angle 2. Now, on my work, angle 3 is the same size as angle 1. That may be true on yours or it may not. And my angle 4 is also made out of a right angle and a 30-degree section, so it's also 120 degrees. And the final job is to add up your 4 angles and write that answer underneath your starter. So what you need to do now is pause the screen and go ahead and complete that task for the particular quadrilateral you've made. And when you've finished doing all of that, you can press play again. Welcome back. I hope that you've now got a completed shape drawn in your exercise book and 4 angles labelled, and that you've added up your 4 angles. Well, what did they make altogether? Let's see what mine add up to. I've got 60 and 120, which makes 180 degrees, and another 60 and another 120, which is another 180 degrees. 180 degrees are halves of full turns. So if I add 2 half full turns together, I get 1 full turn. So I found that the angles in my quadrilateral added up to 360 degrees. Is that what you found too? Well, I know that if you've done this task right, no matter what quadrilateral you made, you should have found the sum of your angles was 360 degrees too. And remember, everybody in your class could have done something different, and I'm still saying that I know that they would always have added up to 360. We should make that note in our books because that's an important fact for today. Please copy this down. Notes, underline. The angles in any quadrilateral always sum to 360 degrees. Now it's time to do an example. Can you write the heading, example, and underline it? Then write out the sentence, find the value of x, and copy down this shape. Pause the video while you do that. So how are we going to work this out? Well, the first thing to notice is that our shape is a quadrilateral. It has 4 sides, and that means we know that its 4 angles are going to add up to 360 degrees. But we only have 1 angle labelled, so we have to realise that where we can see the square shapes drawn in our diagram, we actually know the sizes of these too, and we should write them on our work so we don't forget about them. Now we can write that 90 degrees plus 90 degrees plus 126 degrees plus the angle that we don't know, x, has to make a total of 360 degrees. First of all, we're going to start working out what the three angles that we do know add up to. Well, 90 and 90 is 180. If I add 20 onto 180, I get 200. Add another 100, that's 300. And there's a 6 here, so I've got 306 degrees. Plus some angle I don't know has to make a total of 360. So I can find x by counting up from 306 until I get to 360. So I'll need 4 more to get from 306 to 310, and then 50 more to get up to 360. So there we go. I found out that x is 54 degrees. And because this is my final answer, this is where I put the units onto my work. Year 7, make sure you've understood that example, and when you're ready, press play because some questions are going to come up. You'll need to write the heading questions in your book. For each question, can you copy down the shape with the angles, show your working out, and then put your final answer. Please pause the video while you solve these problems. And here are the answers. Please make sure you mark your work. Now, I have a challenge for you. Can you write into your exercise book, Challenge 1, and your job is to find every missing angle from inside this diagram. What makes this challenge a bit more difficult than other questions we've done is that the missing angles are not labelled A, B, C, D, so the question is not automatically telling you which order to find the angles. So you're going to have to think which angle should you find first, second and third and so on in order for you to be able to find all of the missing angles. Pause the video now while you try that. And here are the answers showing in red. Please could you mark your work? And when you're ready, press play again because there's going to be a challenge 2. Here's challenge 2. Again, I want you to find all the missing angles inside the triangle and the quadrilateral, and I want you to think carefully about what order you find them in. Please mark your work. Now, Year 7, if you've spent an hour doing your work today, then that's it, you've finished what you need to do. But if you haven't spent an hour or you would like to try some more challenges, I've got these questions for you. Here, you have to use algebra to help you find the value of the letter in each case. So in question 1, you're trying to find what does A stand for. In question 2, what does B stand for, and so on. If you'd like to try these questions, pause now before the answers come up. And here are the answers, Year 7. If you've had any difficulty and you would like help with these questions, please just send me a message on Show My Homework. Thanks, Year 7. I'll see you next week. Bye!